guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige. This is my open book. In today's video, get your Kindles ready. I'm coming at you with 15 Kindle Unlimited standalone recommendations. So if you're more of a series girly, I will link above in the cards the last video that I did for Kindle Unlimited. I did like bingeable series recommendations, but this one is just standalones. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let me tell you some great books you can pick up on Kindle Unlimited for free right now. And you could just read it and finish it as like a good palate cleanser in between things, or if you just want something quick, these are for you. All right, I normally love a good series, but there are some times where you want just one and done, right? You just want to read one good book and be done with it. You don't want to be sucked into a whole series. Sometimes that can be a little bit intimidating. So I wanted to bring you these Kindle Unlimited standalone recommendations. So let's get into it. I've got 15 of them, so I'm going to go through kind of quickly, but trust me, you're going to want to pick these up. Okay, first we have Nordic King by Karina Halley. So this is technically part of a series, but I read this as a standalone and I loved it. I haven't read anything else in this series. I feel like this is one where I was able to pick it up, know what was going on, and end it and feel like it was a closed door and I didn't have to keep, going down the rabbit hole of the rest of the books. So this one is a nanny romance. So she's going to be the nanny for this Nordic King. So I love this because it's like a combination of two really great tropes. It's like a royalty romance, but also a nanny romance. And this is really great. The spiciness is really good. And I just love Karina Halley's writing. Like, it's just a good time. I actually have another book by her on this list now that I think about it. So let's go ahead and talk about it now. We've got One Hot Italian Summer, also by Karina Halley. I talked about this in my summer reading TBR, summer reading bucket list, whatever you want to call it as well. But this one is great because it's the perfect summer vibe. She's going on vacation in Italy to write her new book, and she has to stay in the same house as this guy who is a sculptor. He's older, it's an age gap, he's a single dad. There's a little bit of forbiddenness to it because he is the ex-husband of her publisher, or like her agent or something like that. Yeah, so they really tried to fight their feelings, but they're living in the same house, forced proximity, summer vacation in Italy. It's just dreamy, and let's just say he's really good with his hands. Next up, I think you can check out any book by Lily Gold. Honestly, my two personal favorites are Three Swedish Mountain Men and Nanny for the Neighbors. So she has a few books like this where it's like a reverse harem, why choose situation. So one girl, three guys, but each one is a totally different set of characters. They're not interconnected at all. Three Swedish Mountain Men is my personal favorite. She gets stranded in the Swedish mountains and she has to stay with these three guys who are all friends, and she finds out that they've shared women before, that she's not the first, so she's kind of curious about it. And what I love about these books by Lily Gold is she not only shows how they can be together in group activities, but she also shows like an individual romance that they have together. So it'll be like why she has a connection with this person, and why she has a connection with this person and this person separately, and then also how they all come together in a great poly romance. Plus, I think she does a really good job of showing the friendship of the guys to show like why they, choose to have the poly romance element. I will say the books follow similar formulas, so like don't read them back to back. Again, that's why I'm recommending them as standalones. I think these are good like palette cleansers to read in between other things, because it's mostly focused on the spice, let's be honest. There is a little bit of plot, but not really. So great characterization, great spice, love the poly romance representation, and I think you're gonna like them. Next up we have Forever and Ever. This is the first book I ever read by Lucy Score, and this is another example why having a good standalone romance is great, because I saw everybody raving about her Knock 'Em Out Virginia series. Like Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, Things We Left Behind. Okay, everyone was raving about those, but my thing is like, I don't want to get into a whole series and then not like her, because I like really like finishing things, and I have like really bad FOMO if I don't read a whole series. So before diving into that, I wanted to make sure I would even like her writing, because I never read anything by her before. So I picked up this book, and I'm really glad I did. This is a great way to get into her writing, in my personal opinion. This is a great small town romance. This is a pretty long book. Lucy Score does write pretty long romances, so normally romances are like 300 pages. I feel like is usually a pretty good average, but I think this one's almost like 600 pages, I want to say. So even though it's a standalone, it's meaty, okay? Like, she's thick. There's a lot going on. But I think what lends it to being okay for a long romance is these two characters have history together, which you guys know, it's like my catnip, okay? They grew up in the same small town. They overlap in so many ways. The town is so small, like extremely small. He works for her mom. She used to date his brother, and he used to be married to her best friend. So like there's a lot of overlap, a lot of history in their past that you're learning along the way. There's also a really good like romantic suspense kind of plot line in the present times that I think really drives the story forward. So yeah, highly recommend starting with this one, especially if you haven't read anything by Lucy Score before. I think this will be a good way to get into it. Next up, let me give you something that's not romance for a change. We have 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. He is a new author that I really have been enjoying. Normally I like to break up my romance with a good mystery or a thriller, but my favorite is Agatha Christie, okay? Like, I have a soft spot for her, but he is kind of like a modern day Agatha Christie in my mind. So this was his debut novel that came out last year, I think, maybe a couple years ago, I don't know, but this was really good. It's like one of those locked room mystery kind of situations like Agatha Christie or like Clue with a bit of a twist, and I really liked it. Plus I also read his second book, which was Devil in the Dark Water. That one was really good too. That one I read over the summer because it takes place on a ship. Highly recommend checking these out. I feel like a lot of mystery thrillers of this kind are not on Kindle Unlimited, so I think this is cool that he has these on there. For if you want to break up your romance reading with a mystery, I highly recommend checking his books out. They're really good. They keep you guessing, not predictable in the slightest, and yeah, I like it. Next up we have Stone Cold by Winter Renshaw. This one is kind of a forbidden romance in a way. So he is best friends with her new ex. It's kind of like a hate to love situation too. I think she was like drunk one night and she like tagged herself in her ex's like engagement photo or something like that, and her ex's best friend is the one who notices, and he's the one that's like messaging her like, hey, like, what are you doing? How pathetic. So it kind of starts off kind of comical, but then they start to just like spend more time together, and you realize that he has like harbored all these feelings for her all these years while she was with his best friend. All of that is coming to light, and their dynamic is just really good. Highly recommend this if you like a good like forbidden hate to love situation. Where like, next up we have Dear Ava by Elsa Madden Mills. This is a high school college romance. This is a high school football romance. This does start with a assault scene at the beginning, so please check trigger warnings. Female main character survives an assault and she doesn't know who did it, but she knows it was somebody on the football team. So she comes back to school and she doesn't trust anybody, and at the beginning there's like 3 guys that she's kind of interacting with that are on the football team. So I think this one is fun because you don't know right away who she's gonna end up with. So I like that like unpredictableness here. There's also a lot of like emotional healing that she has to go through, obviously, you know, surviving something like that and learning to trust again. This is really good, and the ending was also like totally unexpected. Again, I need to read more by this author because this totally took me by surprise. I thought it was just gonna be your standard like bully romance, honestly, is kind of the vibe that I got when I heard people talking about it, but this was so much more than that, and I highly recommend if you haven't read it yet. Next up we have Bring Me Back by Kristen Granada. I would say Kristen Granada and Holly Cast are probably like almost tied. Like Holly Cast is like a little bit higher than Kristen Granada for me, but these two, they do a really good job of writing like emotional trauma and like mental health representation in their books. So this one is about a female main character who has recently been released to live on her own again after she survived a suicide attempt. So She obviously is trying to learn how to live in normal society again, and she is like working through her mental health, and she moves in next door to a cop. And the way this book starts off is super funny because he obviously doesn't know that she is coming to live there, because the house has like been abandoned for a while, and it's a house that used to belong to her father, and her father like left it to her in his will or whatever. So she's coming to live there. He doesn't know, so he thinks that she's like breaking in, so he comes over like with his gun and his handcuffs and stuff, and it's just really funny. Or no, I think he comes with like a baseball bat or something. I don't know, it was really funny. But the romance is actually really sweet. Obviously, like, he takes care of her because he's a cop, so he obviously has that, like, you know, caring nature, and she's going through a hard time, and just like the way they bond and the way he takes care of her is really sweet. And there's some great scenes where she's written something spicy and he, you know, reads it and they act it out. There's also a scene where he, you know, they're neighbors, so he can like see into her bedroom, which also gives some fun times. But yeah, I love Kristen Granada because she does a great job of blending like fun, spicy times and funny moments, but also having those like deep emotional moments too. So we love it. It's the best combination. Another one I want to recommend is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. I've talked about this before on my channel as like an underrated Penelope Douglas book in my personal opinion. I feel like people like it, but it doesn't get as much love as some of her other series do. So I like this one a lot. Actually, another one that I'm going to throw in, Birthday Girl. Both of these are on my standalone list. I just realized they're both on here, so we'll talk about them together. These are both standalones by Penelope Douglas. So Punk 57 is a high school setting, and these two were pen pals since like elementary school, and they just kept writing each other. They developed a friendship, but then something happens and he stops writing to her. So she's like wondering like what she did to make him stop writing. Meanwhile, this new guy comes to her school and he knows that it's her, but she doesn't know that it's him. Okay, and the way she treats him is not the best at first, so it's kind of like a bully situation and like a hidden identity kind of micro trope in here. And I also love the pen pal element. I think that part is super cute. And yeah, I like this one a lot. Birthday Girl is another one by Penelope Douglas that's a standalone. This is an age gap boyfriend's father, ex-boyfriend's father. So she is dating this guy. They're in a pretty serious relationship and they're going through a hard time, so they have to go live with his dad. And he doesn't have the best relationship with his dad, but their financial situation just kind of like forces them to do so. And unfortunately, you find out her boyfriend's not the best guy, so they break up, but she has to stay there anyway. And then she starts developing feelings for his dad. It's forbidden, it's taboo, but it's, you just can't deny the chemistry. It's so good. Penelope Douglas knows what they're doing, okay? That's all I'm saying. Next up, we have another underrated one. This is Bad Apple by Elle Kennedy. Most people know and love Elle Kennedy because she wrote the off-campus series, The Deal, the hockey romance college setting that everybody loves and falls in love with. This is an old romance for her. This is one that she like republished under a different name. So I don't know what it was called before, but this is a standalone that I really love from her. It has some good spicy times, and the characters are also pretty fun. So in this one, the female main character, she works like 3 jobs. She's super busy, doesn't have time for a relationship. So she just has this guy that she meets up with like 4 times a year when he's in town on business, and they just have like a one-night stand kind of thing together. No strings. That's all it is, just a hookup. Somehow she thinks that she is meeting up with the same guy. So she goes to her room that she thinks this guy is in, but somehow this other guy is in the bed instead, but she doesn't know. So they start making out. Then she realizes, hey, you're not who I thought you were. And he's like, yeah, who the hell are you making out with me in my bed? Finds out that he's like this famous actor. He obviously becomes a little bit obsessed with her after the night of fun that they have. So he, you know, doesn't want to let her go. So he keeps like, you know, going to the places that she works just to like see her and spend more time with her. But again, she's too busy for relationship, and he kind of is too. You know, he's a famous actor and she, you know, works 3 jobs. So they obviously want to spend time together, but you know, life is kind of getting in the way, but I still really liked this romance a lot. And again, no one talks about it. It's a super old book that Elle Kennedy wrote. I don't even know how long ago, but it's still really good, and I think you should check it out. We got another forbidden age gap here. This one is definitely taboo. This is What Was Meant to Be by QB Tyler. She does a lot of standalones, and I'm pretty sure almost all of them are on Kindle Unlimited, so this is another author that I think you can check out for that reason. But this one I really liked. This is, again, these characters have history together, but not in the way you may think. So it's a second chance, but he's actually friends with her parents. Yep, I said it. So obviously, like, when she was younger, not like super young, okay, I'm pretty sure he waited, did he wait till she was 18? I don't know. Like, this one's very taboo. I'm just gonna say the age gap is pretty deep. So if you're not into that, I understand. But for those of you that like the age gap, you're gonna like it. It's fun. Again, QB Tyler does great spicy scenes, and just like the emotional angst that these characters have to go through, because again, they have history together. They've had these feelings for each other for a really long time, but they kind of drifted apart for years. She even got engaged to somebody else. And now he's back. I think he was part of like Doctors Without Borders or something, so he literally went to another country for years, but now he's back and he finds out that she's engaged to somebody else, and it just like brings back all these feelings that he tried to keep hidden. Yeah, and this is their second chance romance, and it's really good. It's definitely hard to read because like when her family finds out about them, like that part is definitely really hard to read. So again, this is pretty out there, but if you're into that, you're gonna like it. This is another quickie recommendation. This is Hollow's Grove by Lee, I don't know how to say that last name, Lee J is what I call them. This author does a lot of novellas for all the different holidays. Like there's one for Mother's Day, I'm pretty sure there's one for like St. Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas. This is the Halloween one that I recently read. And it's just a good time. It's just a good time. It's super quick, super fast to read. And again, she has this whole series of Hall and Night novellas, I think is what they're called. Yeah, but none of them are connected in any way. It's all different characters, different settings. None of them relate to each other, and you don't have to read them together. You don't want to read them together because the point is to read them spread out on the holiday that they coincide with. So I think, again, it's just a cool thing to kind of like keep in your back pocket when you want something to read. In each season, there's going to be something that is going to meet the mood that you're in. This particular one is good for the spooky season right now. When I'm uploading this video, it's October, so it fits the vibe. This one takes place on Halloween night. I'm pretty sure it's like a murder mystery party situation, and it's her best friend's brother. Again, they kind of always had feelings for each other, but he was always the one to kind of like mess with her and like prank her and scare her while they were growing up. And now it kind of happens when they're adults and he scares her, but now she likes it. Okay, it's a good time. I just realized I have another one by Karina Halley. You could tell I love this author. We're gonna go with A Ship of Bones and Teeth next. This is a very interesting take on a kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean meets Little Mermaid, but like make it dark. That's this romance. So this is not a typical contemporary romance by any means. She used to be a siren, and she has been turned into a human to be with Prince Eric. Prince Eric turned out to be not what she thought he would be, so she's not happy, but now she's stuck as a human with Prince Eric. They get captured by this pirate ship, and she is trying to survive, but she's also trying to find a way to escape because she's like, okay, now that I'm on this ship, like this might be my chance to get away from Eric. You know what I mean? So she's trying to find a way to escape and to see if there's a way that she can get turned back into a mermaid. And then you realize that the pirate crew is also not what you thought they were. So the suspense is really good. The plot is very great. There is a part in the middle where it gets kind of slow, but she definitely keeps you guessing. It's not predictable, and I love that. And I think this is just a really great take on a good pirate romance, but also with a mermaid. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And last up we got Grease Monkey by Barry Scott. This is another underrated one I feel like nobody talks about, but this is one of my favorite books that I read this year. Now I think that this is going to be a series. I think it's called like her Not Safe for Work series or something like that. I don't know if they're going to be interconnected. I have no idea. But as of right now, this is a standalone, so I'm counting it. But this one is really good. This one, oof, this is like 100% angst. Like, if you want like the textbook definition of an angsty romance, it's this book right here. So these two start dating, I think when she's in high school. He's a little bit older, but it's not like a crazy age gap by any means. They have this great romance together, but he's kind of like the bad boy, and then she's kind of like part of like a richer family who has like higher expectations of her in terms of where she goes to school and what she does with her future and things like that. Like, they kind of already have her future all planned out for her, even though it's not what she wants. You know how it is, young love, you feel like you can take on the world together and you're gonna go against everybody and everyone else's expectations so you can do what makes you and your new partner happy. Well, unfortunately, her family kind of burst that bubble for her. They can't be together anymore. She's devastated. He's devastated. They end up parting ways. So what I love about this book is it shows their full relationship from start to finish when they're in high school to when they end. And then it shows when they're apart. And it also shows their second chance romance from start to finish. So I love how full-fledged this romance story is. So it's not a dual timeline. It's not just flashbacks. You know what I mean? Like, you are there from the beginning. And you go through the whole journey with them. And I honestly love that. Yeah. Plus, he's a mechanic, so there's also some fun scenes with the cars and where he works and that whole setup. I really like this one. It's underrated. One of my favorite books of the year, hands down. And it's on Kindle Unlimited as a standalone. So you have no excuse. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoy these 15 Kindle Unlimited standalone recommendations. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and if you want to see more, leave a comment down below. What is your favorite standalone romance that you read recently? And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my future videos. And I'll see you next time with another one. Bye.